Okay, I'm reading 11:02 your time, so let's get started. Um, Thank you very much for taking the time to introduce yourselves and to introduce your organization as well. Um, why don't we get right into it? And what I'll ask is I'll just ask you, Grace and Julie, to do a quick introduction of yourselves. And then we'll get into the more specific questions about your organization. So why don't I give it to Grace and I'll let you introduce yourself and pass it off to Julie after that.
Hi, I'm Grace Clarity. I'm the Education Director here at Wisconsin Farmers Union. So that means in the summer, I run and operate and manage our summer camp, and then the rest of the year, I do our year-round youth programming.
Hi, everyone. Julie Bomar. I'm the Executive Director here at Wisconsin Farmers Union, and I'm responsible for the operations side of our organization, which is a cooperative, and it has several different elements to it, including a foundation and our cooperative, Wisconsin Farmers Union, an ag organization, and then also a service association, which is the business arm of our organization. And we're located, our headquarters are in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, although we have a statewide presence, including a satellite office in Madison.
Great, very interesting. Thank you so much. Now, maybe I'll just go back to Julie with this. Could you elaborate further on the Wisconsin Farmers Union? You mentioned, the cooperative services. What is it exactly that the Wisconsin Farmers Union does? And how has its service to members evolved over time?
Sure, yeah. Well, we've been around for a long time, 94 years here in Wisconsin. And we are affiliated with other farmers union organizations across the country and National Farmers Union as well. And we have a long history of fighting for economic justice for family farmers. And cooperatives is a business model that really speaks to the values of our organization in terms of really helping ordinary, folks get a greater share of the profit from their labor, and also being able to cooperate with other cooperatives in order to build stronger community, and also just fair and democratic principles operating across not just the business but also other partners within a community. And so that kind of pro-democratic, democracy with a little d, and also the economic justice are really strong values that run in this organization. So we like to teach kids how to be cooperative and how to be a part of a cooperative and hopefully start cooperative someday. We also make a lot of investments in cooperatives, and our organization operates as one. So we've got 2,000 plus family memberships, over 4,000 individual memberships across the state of Wisconsin. And those folks lead the organization. It's a member-led cooperative, as it should be. And so they help direct us staff into, what issues they find important. So we definitely try to push policies that favor what our members want, as well as then promote educational events that they need. And then also we help build other cooperatives and help inspire cooperative visions across the state. So that's our mission.
Great. No, thank you so much for that. I think my next kind of question, talking about the values that you inspire, not only among your members, but I'm sure that reflects kind of in your staff and your workplace. And not only the fact that that's of the Wisconsin Farmers Union, but the fact that you're a member of the National Farmers Union and all of the farmers unions adhering to these similar values. I know one of the resources that we share with the students in our network is the National Farmers Union Job Board, which distributes positions and opportunities kind of throughout the Farmers Union network to them so that they can apply. I guess my next question is kind of two-pronged. The first is directly within the Wisconsin Farmers Union, how do you, where do you see your needs in terms of human resources? How is that evolving? over time within the Wisconsin Farmers Union? And then where do you see human resources evolving and the needs evolving for your members as well? So maybe start with the first part and then we can talk a little bit larger.
Yeah, sure. Well, we are growing, and so that definitely pushes us on the human resources front. And we've got a really nice crew right now, different ages, backgrounds, ethnicities, different experiences across, different sectors of employment. And so it's a pretty eclectic group. I think we're really focused a lot on trying to create a workplace culture where people can feel like they can bring their whole selves to work. So that's been something that we talk about a lot across staff. And so that might mean, you know, making sure that we are inclusive in all of our programming and our hiring, or it might also mean that when people are feeling like they're overloaded, they can feel like they can ask other people for support, trying to construct a real positive team environment. And then also we've really started to emphasize too, just that, that people need to be healthy, and that has individual definitions. They need to be well. And so emphasizing, exercise, if that's what people want to do, or maybe mindfulness, and incentivizing people to be able to practice that at work, as well as feel comfortable, that they have a balance in their lives to some extent. So trying to encourage people to take their paid time off, as well as flexing their schedule so they don't get burned out. So those are all things we've been working on at the human resource level, to try to make it, the best place it can be.
Great, thank you so much. And then kind of discussing more largely, what do you see as kind of the key needs in terms of human resources among your members in the coming years?
Yeah, well, we've, of course, camp, which all that Grace talk about, always has a high need for folks who want to work, especially in a kind of short-term, highly exciting kind of environment, and get some job experience there, especially on youth education. And then we have right now an opening for program assistant to help with a local foods project that we're doing that helps small farmers get their produce into institutional food banks. And that's a really cool project across the whole state. And we also have needs coming up in policy work on government relations efforts. So we know all those are going to happen. And then we have a lot of grant work occurring. And right now we're seeing a lot more in terms of renewable energy and climate mitigation, and also, of course, local foods, and really trying to improve the opportunities for farmers. And I'll let Grace talk more about what the camp needs look like this year and coming forward.
So we have multiple positions at camp every year that include camp counselor, cabin leads, assistant director, medic, cooks, all of the typical positions that go into camps. And almost all of our positions were able to turn into internships as well, because something that sets us apart is I teach all of our staff curriculum development. So they develop and deliver all of the lesson plans and curriculum that are taught at our day camps, that are overnight camp. And sometimes we're able to use that in programming year round. So it takes time to put in that effort. We are able to provide staff with a wide array of topics. We always do a class on co-ops. We always do a class on Farmers Union. And then we have a class that changes topics every year, depending on what the staff are interested in. So this year it is conservation. And last year was niche farming. So within those positions, it's about 2.5 months. This year, the season is mostly June 14th to August 14th. And so we're able to hire 10 to 15 staff every single summer for that.
Great. And just kind of diving a little bit more into that, because, for those who might be listening to this, who might be interested in becoming a camp counselor, often one of the big draws is, okay, what is the profile of a Wisconsin Farmers Union camp counselor, right? Who am I going to be working with? What's that type of environment? So could you maybe just elaborate on what that looks like, and what would you be joining?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have staff that come from a wide array of backgrounds and interests. Most of them are high energy. We have a lot of campers and staff that are very interested in art and theater. So we do like a Tuesday night live where they're able to create skits with counselors and present them in front of the rest of the camp. So high energy, lots of adaptability. I think with any summer camp, it's just the personality of you have to be ready to hop in and do just about anything. It's a lot of different hats that we all wear. And so the willingness and ability to do that. Love of kids is a big one. That's arguably the biggest. And just enjoying to be around them because you'll be around easily 40 plus kids every single day, or just about every single day when you're not in training. I would say those are the top qualities that we typically see in staff. And we do also tend to get staff that are passionate about, it may not be summer camps specifically, but just the outdoors, agriculture, environmentalism, a lot of people that just want to be outside. And when they get paid not only to be outside, but to be able to teach about the outside, that is really exciting for a lot of staff.
Great. And what type of time commitment? I understand it's a summer camp, right? But when does that start and when does that end for the staff who are working at the farm or at the camp rather?
So we have staggered training based off of the level of employment. So leadership training starts first, and then all staff training starts about 2 weeks later. So for all staff training, I would say the time commitment is June 14th to August 17th of this year. And the time commitment is roughly around those same dates. And that is a few weeks of training, about 3 to 4 weeks of training, and then 5 to 6 weeks of straight camp after that. So we provide a lot of opportunities during training. So it's not just sitting in a room for 4 weeks and doing this. We do a lot of introductions to other parts of Farmers Union. Staff are given a free collegiate membership to be on staff. So they're able to be a part of other parts of Farmers Union. We have staff that come out and talk about their positions. When I have guest speakers come talk to staff, I also have them talk about how they got into that so they can understand that a bit better as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Grace. Now, I guess, moving along here in our discussion, I think the next thing that I would like to speak to is, you both personally have this great experience of having worked in a cooperative. Could you maybe give me an example of where you've seen that cooperative culture at work, where you wouldn't otherwise maybe see, a similar action or a similar engagement in more of a commercial business? And maybe I'll just
Yeah, absolutely.
go ahead.
Yeah, we can both probably talk a little bit about this, but I think generally, like if you're thinking about different workplace environments, if you're in business, then there's a lot of concern for the customer, right? And also for the bottom line too. I mean, and so that's important, and it appears a little more emphasized in that environment. And then if you're in education, you're often very concerned about the students as their stakeholders and making sure that they're thriving. And we're also concerned about kids at camp too. But when I would say one of the big things that we're focused on is what do our members want? I mean, the whole organization is run by members. And so we put a lot of emphasis on involving them in a lot of different ways, either through leadership development, taking them to Madison, Wisconsin, which is our capital, or the nation's capital to lobby. We do a lot of engagement around policy issues that they're concerned about. And, we always ask ourselves the question, what would the members think? Or how is this going to impact our members? And so that's a really different model, I think. And sometimes people are a little surprised by that when that question pops up so frequently, because they haven't really worked for an organization that emphasizes that to that extent. So that's part of it. And then just talking about the principles, sharing resources and, making sure that the voting is as democratic as possible in our governance structures and things like that. That's all a little different, in a positive way, for sure.
And I would say at camp, we teach so much in general about co-ops. We have an entire class on it. And our camp store, sometimes referred to as a trading post, is set up and structured as if it is a co-op. So all of the campers have to pay their $1 due that they get it back at the end of the week. We split up the dividends. We do all of that. Staff are trained on how to do that. And then at the end of the week, the kids decide what they want to do with the excess money, where they would like to donate it. So sometimes it's gone to animal shelters, sometimes it's gone to children's hospitals. And so we have that huge portion of camp. And then we also have 3 boards at camp. So one is our co-op store board, one is our governing board, who goes around and makes sure that all of the cabins are clean and up to fire code. And then we have a sustainability board that helps monitor the blue-green algae levels in the lake that is attached to our camp. So all 3 of those boards are ran as co-op boards. The first day of camp, all of the campers decide who wants to be elected. We do the entire process. We walk through the process. We have nominations, we have elections, and then they are on the board for the remainder of the week.
So great exercise in cooperative education. Moving into our next question, there's a lot of people that we speak to in the university system or in the college system who haven't heard of cooperatives, or if they have heard of cooperatives, sometimes they're not necessarily agricultural cooperatives. And so what would you say to someone who is just discovering agricultural cooperatives through our conversation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think one of the things I would say is, isn't it kind of liberating to think that there's other models out there for how businesses can be structured and how economies can work? I mean, if anything, it's, I think, because we don't get introduced to cooperatives very overtly in our lives. It is shocking to some people that profits could be distributed, or that educational benefits could be distributed. And unless if they've touched at some level in their lives, like with a credit union, or maybe they've decided to buy from REI, or but otherwise they really don't know. So it's kind of liberating for people to understand that there's different ways of doing business and treating each other and treating employees. I think that's one thing I would say is notable.
I would say that following along that would be hey, you have an opportunity to put your voice in there. If you're not a farmer, if you didn't grow up in agriculture, if you care about food, if you care about food systems, if you care about the environment, if you care about the lives of farmers, you can have a say in that as well, being a part of these. And so it's a way for people that have smaller voices to build up into a larger voice. And that's an opportunity that I think a lot of people, especially in the United States, might not necessarily think that they have that as an option.
Great, thank you so much. And my last planned question for our interview today is, if I'm a student and I'm interested in applying at the Wisconsin Farmers Union, or getting involved with the Wisconsin Farmers Union camp, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give me?
I would say for camp, my piece of advice would be professional, but it is okay to geek out about your interests. If you are really interested and passionate about something, especially working in a camp setting, I want to hear all about your interests. I want to hear what are the things that we can cooperatively and collaboratively bring together to other staff, to the students that are coming out, to our campers. And I want to hear those things that you are interested in, because it also shows the added values that you bring outside of your education or your work experiences. And it also makes it a bit more personable which is almost the entire culture of camp. Is you're in each other's space. It is extremely personable, and that is a great way to be able to see that.
Great. And Julie?
Yeah, I would just say, first of all, just make sure you respond. It's both. We were just talking about this yesterday. It is common for employers to ghost potential candidates, and it's also common right now for candidates to ghost employers. Just don't do that. I mean, show up for the interview or respond with, it's gonna bode well for everybody if you just are responsive and communicate well. I think just also once you're in an interview, if it's like an environment like this where you're online, make sure that your technology is working, that you look good on camera, that I'm thinking, do I have a plant growing out of my head? I don't think we do today, but just those little kinds of things are really important. What's behind you and who's moving and dogs barking and stuff like that. Just try to get in that a sweet spot where you look your best and nothing's distracting. And then just I really love to see when candidates are hungry for the job. So don't hesitate to show some enthusiasm for whatever it might be. That's always going to help you stand out. And do your homework, read the website, know what a cooperative is, know what kind of organization you're applying to, at least on the basic level. If people haven't even glanced at the website, that's often an indicator that they're not really that interested in the job. So just some basic things like that. And I would say, even if you don't get the job, the fact that you represented yourself well may pay off later. I think I've sent 5 job opportunities to candidates that were in a pool that didn't get the job, but that job was offered last year. They were still great at what they were, they were looking great in the interview. It just didn't work out for them that time. But at least one of those people has picked up a job that I sent out because they showed up, they were there, they were strong applicants. So, you never know like how that one interview, even if you don't get it, is going to pan out later. So yeah, just do your best.
Great. Thank you so much. Do you, at this point, have any other comments that you would like to bring?
Chin up out there. Job hunting is hard, and you don't take things personally. I think that's a lot of it, but just keep your chin up and hang in there, and good things will come your way. I think that's one of the most important things, because it can really hit your ego sometimes. Both of us have been on the job market within the last, last 2 years, but even for me, the last 6 or 7 years, and it can be kind of brutal out there sometimes. So just make sure that you don't let it get you down.
Yeah. And I would also say, if you are in an area where you're stuck and you don't really know what you would like to do, it's okay to look at non-traditional jobs. It's okay to look at seasonal jobs. It's okay to look elsewhere if you're not really sure what you want to do. I chose my entire career off of a career aptitude test I took after undergrad, and I like sharing that story with my camp staff, because some of them have also chosen their careers because of that now. So it's okay to kind of think outside of the box too about where you want to approach your employment.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing and for answering my questions, and for being part of the Association of Cooperative Educators Network. We really, really appreciate it. So we'll make this recording available to students within our network who are interested. And for those who are listening, be sure to check out the Wisconsin Farmers Union and their opportunities. The National Farmers Union Job Board for Students as well as a great resource. Julie and Grace, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.